Hello, fourth graders, it's Miss Nestrick, and we are finally moving on to a new project. So this one, just like the Frank Stella one, is going to take a couple of steps. So we're going to start it today, but first I need to give you some background information. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys so that you can see the lessons. The pages from the lesson, I'm going to talk you through pages 7 through 11 in the shape lesson, and then you're going to design your own building after going around your neighborhood with an adult and drawing ideas that you see in different buildings around you, some different types of architecture, different shapes that you see in the architecture and in the buildings to create your own building. So let's get started. Okay, so we need to talk about the role of an architect first. So an architect is someone who puts together buildings. So a kind of artist that is very familiar with breaking shapes down into smaller parts is an architect. So an architect is an artist who designs the shape and appearance of buildings and will sometimes even work with builders to ensure the structures are built correctly. So architects meet with the clients. So they're hired by someone to come and build a structure. They look for inspiration around them. They do lots of research. Sometimes they work by themselves, sometimes in teams. So if you're in a pod, you might want to work with a group to get ideas. Or if you're just working at home by yourself, then you can work alone too. Architects draw plans to make models. They show their ideas to the client, and then they get to work with the builder. So this is kind of what an architect does. So architecture is all around us. You see it every day because it's every type of building that you've ever seen or walked into. But there are different types of structures depending on where you are in the world. So, for example, this right here is called a wickiup. So a wickiup is a style of house that's dome-shaped. So you can kind of see it's like a half circle. It's a dome, and it's covered in grass and sticks, and it's made with mud too to kind of keep it all together. They put a hole in the ceiling where they light a fire to let the smoke out, and then when they don't need the house anymore, they burn it. So the Apache people from Southwest United States, so we live in the Southeast in Tennessee, but the Southwest, so over like in Utah and Nevada and Arizona, Southwest is where this would have been made by the Apache people. There are also turf houses that are built in Iceland. So these are built into the side of a hill, or they're just covered in grass or turf. Some of you might have turf in your front yard or backyard. And these houses are designed to keep the people in Iceland warm in the winter and to protect them from the harsh winds and the cold. So the grass is like an insulation, and then these houses are also known for their pentagon shape on the front. So they've got a pentagon shape, and then they've got a rectangular door frame. You can see there's a square big window, rectangle little windows. We've got a half circle with some triangles in it for this window right here. There are also raft homes that are found in Thailand. So these are floating on the water, sort of. So you can kind of see underneath this house right here, there are these little cylinders. So it's basically like poles that the houses are on, so it keeps them out of the water. So it helps them stay dry. Oh, now my page is frozen. May not be able to get to the next one, so we'll just go to the next page. The last one was Japanese tea houses, and they were squares and rectangles with triangle roofs. So just like there are different types of houses around the world, there's also different shapes that are used in the designs. So for instance, this one is made on the poles, just like we saw in the Thailand houses, but it's covered in glass all the way around, very rectangular, so that you can see all of the nature around them. This house is from Switzerland. You can see that there are triangles in the roof that are facing the other opposite way that we would normally think the roof triangles would face. We've also got rectangles and squares to decorate. This building is kind of an inside-out building, so the architect designed it so that all of the pipes that you would normally see hidden in the walls, so you actually wouldn't see them, they would be hidden in the walls, are facing out. So they're even color-coded, so like all of these yellow pipes have electrical wires in them. So this is really cool because you see everything that's normally hidden. So that was his idea. And then the Louvre is another great example of architecture. So the pyramid with the diamonds in it is a kind of a really popular staple in architecture. It's really well known. So this is another great idea. So architects have to plan their buildings, just like sometimes we sketch out our ideas before we jump into a project. So there are two different ways to do it. You can either do an architectural plan. This is like a blueprint that you have probably seen in movies. Maybe your parents are architects or interior designers. They use blueprints. And then there's also these 3D models, which you can draw using math, or now we have the technology that you can make a 3D model online. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to go outside on a nature walk. So I've had my other grades go on nature walks to find organic shapes. But what I want you guys to do is look at the organic shapes around you. So look at the trees, the leaves, the flowers, the bushes. Look at what's surrounding you, but also what did designers pick as landscape for buildings? Maybe to point out or accentuate, to bring more attention to, bring emphasis to the building. So for instance, right here, you might not notice that there's a sharp point right here, except for there are some bushes that are included. So your eye sees the green and goes for it and sees the sharp edge. They also added these little details in the windows. They're kind of like brackets. So there's the little circles on top of the diagonal windows. Diagonal windows are super uncommon. So I want you to walk around your neighborhood, or maybe you could just take your sketchbook in the car if you know you're going to be running errands with the adults in your life. And you can sketch ideas that you see. Nashville has some really cool architecture, and not all houses are the same. So I want you to drive around, walk around with your sketchbook. You can either take pictures or you can take your sketchbook with you and just draw from what you're seeing. And get some ideas down. Maybe you really like a roof of a house. Maybe you really like the way the windows are. Maybe you like the front porch. Kind of jot down some ideas that you have. When you get back, I want you to, just like this says, use a pencil to sketch a design for a building of your own. Be sure to think about how the design of the buildings in your community have inspired you and which elements of those buildings you want to recreate in your own design. Once you're happy with your design, you can add color using the coloring tools of your choice. I would recommend fourth graders to use colored pencils because there are so many more options and they're really easy to blend colors with. If you need colored pencils, please message me on Schoology because I have plenty at school that I can give you your own pack of 24 colors that you can take home with you. And then after you've drawn your building and colored it, add a background. Think about the landscape that you might want to add. Think about the environment that you might want it to have. So maybe it's in the mountains, maybe it's by a lake, maybe it's in the woods. Think about where your building would fit in best. So you guys can do this. I believe in you. I will try to have a picture up of an example by Sunday. I won't do a whole step-by-step sped up video like I normally do, but I'll at least have a picture of an example of my own for you guys to see. So if you have any questions, always message me on Schoology, and this will all be in that blue week 5 folder. So good luck. Let me know if you need any help, and I will see you soon. Adios.